Assembia ekwa kuwa eba bekra NPP criminal appointees, NPP looters. Abusuya Auditor General edi forensic audit report bi ababonte. Abusuya na forensic audit then enewum gossip politics TV. So unsubscribe ya, subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any update be drop on so onsa ebetumi. Akabina abusuya then na ekoso political highway so mobeka ya during NPP 8 years tenure a year Bank of Ghana eboka 68.7 billion. Ernest Addison, former Bank of Ghana boss. So 68.7 billion NPP, NDC, a year massive demonstration against a year Bank of Ghana led by a year Ato Forcing. Only this demonstration a year or yet check editia a former Bank of Ghana boss and they started saying away and a NDC a power no omo order at force and senka uncle na uncle tuasa arrest here or 68.7 billion away and at force and massa or mining is sika be or the bekwa tuasa sika no intino say sika die e sika ebi wo mutino Auditor General embra na ombeye investigations on 68.7 billion a year arrest ya ewo hoi na we ene Auditor General ede final audit ebabonten abusuya sa 68.7 billion 68.7 billion emo 8 billion 8.1 billion abusuya eye fraud enkofo no edisika na shom botom se e kasa enkofo na amoni enkofo no de se sika na shom botom 8.1 billion and enkofo na tiaso sa sika na fraud I just say omo a transfer kukugu a unknown bank account bimo abusuya say NPP ne de former a year appointees no omo ba say omo ba be ball mine no and prosecution so no attorney general prosecution no as ohwe na say ohwe na say report here babonte obi a oye involved in it bia of face prosecution na yehia accountability Ghana for ejina oraso 70% ejina oraso edito aba edema NDC na sa 8 billion ya NPP for area yi abusuya enka ato forcing ekokutu asa aka na aka sa sika omofa edi asom botom momi yanko na yankonkoti ensema yako so unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any updates be drop no onso onsa ebetumi akabi gossip politics TV so madam ase
been announced today there has to be some verification and all of that as we see in the coming days will play out. But government is saying that it is bent on bringing to an end the deliberate plunder of the public purse following reports on arrears and payables as of the end of 2024 by the Auditor General Ernst & Young's, the private auditing firm, and PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC. An amount of 8.1 billion cedis has been rejected due to unsupported documentation, that's number one, duplication, and then overstatement and falsified store receipts. These are the four major areas where these monies, as a result of this forensic audit, has been saved. Let's take a listen to the Deputy Finance Minister, Sampim Dakon, on the floor of Parliament earlier today regarding the details of this forensic audit which was put out. Take a look.
Out of the 68.7 billion Ghana cedis submitted for audit, a total of 45.4 billion Ghana cedis was deemed to be valid for payment. A total of 8.1 billion Ghana cedis was rejected for various reasons, including unsupported documentation, duplication, overstatement, already paid items, falsified stores receipt advice, and no work done. Then Ministry of Trade and Industry in 2024 submitted a request of 89.4 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Finance to be transferred to 5 commercial banks as government's contribution to interest payments under the One District, One Factory initiative. When auditors contacted these 5 banks to confirm the liability, every single one of them denied being owed any amount by government under the said arrangement. Without the audit intervention, a whopping 89.4 million Ghana cedis of hard-earned public money could have been disbursed to settle this non-existent liability. Payment of 10.5 million Ghana cedis was recorded as having been made into an account named the buffer account at a commercial bank. Upon verification, the bank confirmed that it had never received such payment. The account number cited did not exist within the bank's records and did not even conform to its account numbering format. The evidence from the audit pointed to a completely fictitious account. A contract between the Ministry of Defense and a company for vehicles intended for border surveillance and monitoring of the 2024 general election revealed that despite the issuance of stores receipt advice, which is an official document confirming that goods have been received, dated 12 October 2024, the vehicles were never delivered. Similarly, the Judicial Service appeared to be caught in a web of falsified stores receipt advice. While an SRA dated 25th October 2024 claimed the receipt of 7 Toyota saloon cars, as soon as the audit was initiated, the supplier wrote to the Judicial Service on 10th April 2025, indicating their inability to supply the said vehicles as scheduled. The Ministry of Finance will no longer serve as a rubber stamp for weak controls and falsified claims. Going forward, no payment will be made without full verification, no commitment will be entered into without budgetary allocation, and no officer, regardless of rank, will be shielded from accountability. This moment marks a decisive break from the past, a reset of public financial management, a declaration that discipline has returned to the center of fiscal and economic governance.
That's the Deputy Finance Minister there. So all of the sources of this malfeasance that they have identified after this forensic audit, so as a result of fictitious claims, recycled invoices, we're talking about some of these repeated receipts that were put across for payments to be made. In fact, in some cases, bank accounts were provided that didn't have any trace at the said banks and in their account. That's quite worrying, to say the least. And it's a conversation we're going to be having shortly with persons who have been following these cases of corruption and corruption-related offenses and accusations of corruption over the last couple of years gone by. But this is what all of this is, the total amount of money in terms of the arrears submitted for audit. So these are monies, either IPCs and others submitted by contractors and other persons who were engaged by ministry, department and agencies and other government organizations by the end of the year 2024. Now, they submitted their interim payment certificates, that's the IPCs, and the invoices for government to pay them for work that they said they have done. So this administration takes over in 2025 in January and says, well, hold on, I'm not going to make any payments from January 2025. I want to audit all these interim payment certificates that contractors have brought that they have executed some work for government, and invoices that people have brought that they have provided some services for government to be paid. And all of these bank transfers as well. We're talking about IPCs and invoices over 50 billion Ghana cedis and over 18.2 billion bank transfer advices that were actually pending. All what was needed was for some directive for payment by the finance ministry or some signatory to be put in place. And then these monies would have been transferred to these persons who say they have worked, totaling almost 69 billion Ghana cedis. After the forensic audit, this is what we understand has happened, the findings. Just about a little over 45 billion, we understand, have been validated for payment after it. And we'll put that on the screen right now. It gives you a clear picture of what we're dealing with. a little over 13 billion is pending verification. What that means is after all the verification is done, if they are indeed ticking all the boxes and this is proven that work has been done, then they will be paid. But guess what? Over 8 billion Ghana cedis were found to be fictitious claims, recycled invoices, and all of these have been rejected. And so essentially you hear the Deputy Finance Minister saying that this much has been saved the public purse. What we're talking about is that in terms of, for instance, rice procurement, let's do the specific instances of the fictitious claims and then also these recycled invoices that amounted to the over 8 billion that we have been saved of as a country. According to the Deputy Finance Minister, we paid for some 34,000 metric tons of rice that was procured. Only 24,000 was received. 10,000 metric tons of rice has gone missing, according to the forensic audit report. That's not the only one. So some maize procurement, over 100,000 maize procurement, and guess what? Only 11,900 metric tons was delivered. Over 88,000 metric tons of maize that has been paid for. In fact, that contracts were actually put in, were not delivered. Then the ministries, department, and agencies that had persons submitting IPCs and invoices that they had done some work for these MMDAs, but then there were no supporting documents to the said works that these contractors and service providers said they have provided for. For instance, the Ministry of Gender, somebody's total of 241.2 million invoices, IPCs, were submitted. Ministry of Roads, the contractors, over 26 million Ghana cedis without supporting documents. Judicial Service, over 18 million. Ministry of Special Initiative, that ministry doesn't exist anymore, so we do know. 3.7 million claims without supporting documents. That has also been denied. Ministry of Health, 2.4 million claims without supporting documents. The Attorney General's Department, guess what? 780,000 Ghana cedis claims without supporting documents. The total of all of these claims that had no supporting documents, which has actually been rejected after this forensic audit, is 293 million Ghana cedis, and some of it also being verified as we speak. The overstated claims by some of the agencies, according to the Deputy Finance Minister, Department of Urban Roads, over 57 million claims were overstated. Ministry of Transport, almost 40 million Ghana cedis. Department of Feeder Roads, almost 23 million Ghana cedis. So we're talking about public funds, just bear that in mind. Ministry of Agriculture, almost 21 billion. And then Ghana Highways Authority, almost 18 billion. And a number of these instances involve the road sector, okay? And because we're engaging a lot of contractors who are, constructing roads for the state, funded by government or other agencies. With that matter, in fact, that is what has generated some focus on these roads that have been awarded for contract and what kind of focus should be on it going forward. This paints another picture. You heard the Deputy Finance Minister talk about Agenda 111 and then 1D1F. Those two projects were two major project areas that they looked at. These were monies that were paid but no mobilization done. $7.9 million had been paid for advanced mobilization. So this is money they give to the contractors for some mobilization in advance of the execution of their contracts that have been awarded them. 35 contractors were involved in this particular scheme, and guess what? Zero. None of them mobilized to site or performed any proportional work. So they took the money, but none of them actually did the said advanced mobilization for any sort of work done on the ground, because they went to these areas where the roads were to be contracted and they didn't see anything. So the mobilization guarantees for these contractors or the contracts have entirely expired from what the Deputy Finance Minister put out. This is a picture that creates quite some trouble. But here's why I bring in
okay, Abusia, when it ends my so our political highway. So Auditor General's report, Abusia NPP. Abusia, there is much interesting moment ahead. Now, it didn't be a PP ma, and no any ever trust, any ever drop in our next video anymore. It's stay tuned, unsubscribe, subscribe, and I hit on the notification bell, so any updates we ever drop, once able to me, Akabi, Madam.